This is Taiwan Talk on ICRT.
Community theater for both Mandarin and English-speaking audiences has been popular in Taiwan for decades. So how do aspiring actors and players get their start in the theater group of their choice? This week, we speak to Matt Bronsil and Taylor Sharp of Taichung improv group Skits and Giggles. And we begin by hearing from Matt about how he got his start in what is known as one of the longest-standing English-speaking comedy groups in Taiwan.
I was doing stand-up comedy. I was a ventriloquist, and I saw a post on Formosa.com. There was a group starting of people doing improv in Taichung. So I basically went to the first practice and have been around ever since.
So when did the group actually start, Taylor? Do you remember when that was?
The Taichung improv group started before my time.
2007.
Right, 2007. Yeah, I started going to shows, I think, in 2015. I started going to practices, and I started coming to practices, I think, 2016. And then at some point we changed from Taichung Improv to Skits and Giggles, but it's largely the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Matt,
Yeah.
Tell me why not Taipei? Why Taichung?
Well, I got a job offer in Changhua, actually, is where I lived at the time. So I came to Taiwan and came to Changhua. There wasn't an improv group starting in Taipei, but people in Taipei got interested and actually started their own improv group afterwards.
You said you started watching them and then you decided to become a part of it. Was there like a tipping point for you, Taylor, that made you decide that it was something that you could do when you weren't doing anything?
Yeah, they did shows on Saturday nights, and I used to work on Saturday nights, and then I lost that job. So then I started going to more improv shows, and at some point, the audiences weren't huge. At some point they noticed, like, this guy comes to a lot of the shows. So one of the players, Dennis, said, hey, I'm going to be leading a practice soon if you'd be interested in coming. And so I thought, okay, yeah, let's check this out.
Matt, what kind of shows do you guys generally do? What topics do you look at? I mean, it's improv, right? So there's no set topics. You're not married to anything.
We have no idea what show we're going to do. I will say that there are two different types of improv. There's short-form improv and long-form improv. And we've done both. Short-form things are things that a lot of people are familiar with because of TV shows like Whose Line Is It Anyway, where they get a certain game that has a quirk, like maybe they can only say so many words at a time. Maybe they can only ask questions with each other. And they have to do that in the scene, and it lasts 3 to 4 minutes, somewhere around there. The long form can go on for 15, 20 minutes, even longer. So we've done both shows, both types of improv shows.
Do you have a preference as to the kind of improv that you do, Taylor?
I get a lot out of bringing people into improv and seeing new improvisers rise up, and that generally means starting with short form. So we probably do more short-form shows than long-form shows. But there is something magical, because the thing with long-form is that you don't have a preset pattern. The pattern has to emerge as you're acting and playing, and you figure out what's funny as you go. And that feels really cool. I like both, but I think for me the big thing is just connecting with the players that I'm with and doing the improv that we can all do together.
Okay, Matt.
Yeah.
What is the most difficult audience you've ever had to work with?
It's hard when people don't show up. So I think I think one day
it's hard when people
didn't we have like 2 people show up for a show one time?
Yes, they showed up late.
Yeah, they showed up late, and but I think what we learned to do was to just make it like an open practice, and we've had small audiences where we've had the actual audience come up on stage and.
That is cool.
And we just basically ran like our Sunday practice that we do when new people come, and they loved it.
That's very cool. That's really cool. Okay. Taylor, tell me about COVID. Were you here for COVID?
I was here for COVID.
What was that like for you guys?
COVID was an interesting time for Skits and Giggles. People left. We got down to just 3 of us. It was myself, Matt, and a friend of ours who now lives in Hualien, Zach. And the 3 of us did shows for a while, and then it became a lot of online shows when, people weren't going out and doing things. It was hard, At the same time, that may have been some of our best improv. We got really tight, the three of us. We really learned to play off of each other. And as COVID went on, it was still just the three of us performing, but now people could go out again. And we started to have audiences. We went to Taipei to join the improv group there, FIG, for one of their, the celebration ceremony. And it was just the three of us with, the larger Taipei audience. We got a great reception. So COVID was straining on the group, but I think it was good. I think we did a lot of good stuff.
What we kind of learned was, we had to take on the role of everybody on stage. A lot of times we sat back before and just said, we'll let, this is a physical game, let Taylor do it. Or, this is a game where you have to think of a quick reply, let me do it. But everyone kind of had to pick up, everyone else's strength. So just the three of us working together made us much better improvisers overall.
Okay, so what is it like to do improv online? Because you didn't have any audiences that you could respond to, especially you, Taylor, if you were doing more physical sort of performances, right?
Right. Well, we did have a little bit of a bridge. We've streamed some shows, and we did that before COVID. So we did have, I guess, a precedent of people watching our Facebook page, and we would stream video to that of us on a stage. But yeah, eventually we couldn't go where there was a stage. Starting with practice, we learned, okay, the physical things have to happen within your Zoom box, but that's still a place you can play with, right? You can get closer to the camera, you can go to one side, you can leave the frame for some effect. So it wasn't completely without physicality. At the same time, the verbal part became much more important. We would change the games we played, we would change the kinds of choices we would make in improv to be more verbal. And yeah, that was the adjustment, was finding a way to play within that space, within that medium.
What were the biggest challenges, Matt, did you think had to do with working within such a limited space?
I'm somebody that feeds off the audience, even in my stand-up.
Yeah, so there you go. How does that work?
It was hard. It was, at first it was less enjoyable for me, but I still wanted to do it and keep it going. But then when it was really just the three of us, it became really just a ton of fun to just play around with just the three of us having the blast. And it's okay, yeah, we're going to, we'll meet online on Monday at Zoom at 7:00 or whatever time, and we'd get on there and it'd just be a ton of fun. I mean, it became really fun. I actually almost kind of miss it at this point. I not as much as I would miss the actual live practices, but it was fun. I really did enjoy it at the end.
Okay, so Taylor, for you, you're I know that you've not been around as long as Matt has, but where do you think this is going for you?
Where do I think this is going for me? This is something that's here for people in Taichung to come and enjoy. I've used improv in teaching. I've gotten to explicitly teach it a couple of times, which was very cool. It's I'm going to get paid to do my hobby. I don't know if there's more to it than that for me, but I'm pretty happy with, okay, I offer a free practice that people can come to and try a new thing. You make new friends. We have a show. Inspired by the people in Taipei, we've been doing more bilingual improv, which is tough, but we've gotten a few regular Chinese native speakers to come, and they are helping bridge the gap and get more people to come in. So I'd like our audience to grow. I'd like more people to show up. I kind of think performing around Taichung and having a way to release some steam, to do something creative, that is the reward of doing this. And if I ever move, I'll look into an improv scene wherever that is. But for now, it's kind of well, this is the thing, and it's good. I like it a lot.
Okay, Matt, what about you? Where do you think this is going for you?
Well, I forbid Taylor to move. I'm just putting that on record right now.
Yeah, I did one interview a couple of weeks ago where the person, I was in the middle of where's this going for you, and they're like, I'm leaving at the end of the year. I'm like, I didn't mean for it to go this way. Anyway, Go ahead. So you tell me.
I've loved doing improv, and I am I am getting a little burnt out on it. So
You heard it here first.
You know what?
You
Well,
heard it here first.
He's heard it. But the funny thing is, like, every time a show's coming up, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to be there. I'm ready to be back in this. So I think where it's going for me, I'm enjoying. I'm just enjoying it.
You were listening to Matt Bronsil and Taylor Sharp of Taichung improv group Skits and Giggles, whose performances are scheduled for the end of the month in Taichung. Details can be found on the group's Facebook page. And that does it for this edition of Taiwan Talk. You can catch this episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you download your podcasts. I'm Hope Ngo. Thank you for tuning in.